Hi.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's pod.
Let's pod.
I'm just gonna give like full disclaimer
Yeah.
that I grew up as a professional dancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't walk by a mirror and not look.
So you got
So
cameras
the fact
that
that I have
see
a camera that I can see what's happening is gonna be really distracting.
There. Now I got the AC off too.
Oh, David runs really hot, you
I
guys.
do run hot. I'm gonna turn the fans
For
off
all of
too.
our 4 listeners, I need you to know that David runs really hot.
I get warm. I have it cranked to 72 today, but it's hot.
But when
it's the valley.
it's the valves.
It's like 90. It's gonna be 92 today.
But when I walked into David's apartment, he was wearing what is it called, David?
It's an Arctic Chill. I don't know where I put it. Allie got it for me for my birthday.
And where does it?
It sits around your neck, and it's got 3 speeds, and it blows up. So like when I get out of the shower, I just pop that sucker right on.
Pop that thing on.
Cool myself down. Because that's the hardest part is like I get done with the shower when it's hot out, and then like I stay hot. It's a problem.
You stay hot.
It's a problem.
Okay, so
What's up, Tiffany?
What's up, D Money?
That's right. We're in the office, new space,
Yeah, we
new
relocated.
setup, trying stuff out.
Yeah.
Does it work?
They can't really like see the full aesthetic
Yeah.
of what happens in this room.
This room is a creative playpen.
Well, we're gonna get into it for
in more
sure.
ways than one.
Because for listeners, last week's episode, our first
episode, sure, the last one,
the last but first episode, we were still kind of like, testing it out, finding our voice.
Yeah.
And we discovered that we really liked doing this, so we wanted to continue doing it together.
Yep.
But last week, David was super prepared to come and ask me questions. So I thought, let's flip that thing on its head and put you in the hot seat now, buddy.
Let's go. That's why we're in my space, so that I can be comfortable with all these questions. Fire away.
There's always some more to the reasoning that David does.
Absolutely. There's usually a reason for most things I do, even if it's like haphazard and doesn't make sense in the moment.
Yeah.
Somehow in my brain it makes sense. So.
Oh, absolutely. You thought about it a lot. You're like, okay, this is going to be about me. I don't know the question. She's coming at me with like, who knows what. I need to be comfortable.
Flipping it. It's flipping the script. I came to you like, hey, let's do this thing. Will you be my guest? And then literally, like we told you in the last one, it's like, I don't know. This is way better. So I'm excited. Now I don't know what to expect, so I'm unprepared. I've just tried to make myself cool before we start so I don't sweat through the whole thing.
And listen, if we need to take an AC break, Allie, your fiance, the makeup artist, would absolutely kill you if you were shiny. But listen, if we need to pop the AC on for a moment, let's pop it on.
You know what? If it buzzes and it bothers you, I'm sorry. We're making it work. We got a dog in here too. There's some wild cards in this whole setup, and that's a part of the experience.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be perfect.
We're figuring it out.
What I'm saying?
We are officially inside the pod.
That's right.
So let's do it.
Let's pod.
David.
Tiffany.
My co-host.
That's right.
My friend.
That's right. I like it.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a little bit of the same setup that you did.
Love it.
Icebreakers.
Yeah.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Did OJ do it?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And it's really good. Yeah.
David
how
has
old were
thoughts.
we when that all went down? The Bronco thing.
It was, oh gosh.
90
Was it right after
something?
Rodney King? Or was it before Rodney King? It was like all that was happening at the same time. Well, I mean, I was in San Diego.
Sure.
I think it was the early 90s. 91, 92. 92 is when
I'm obsessed with the 90s, Tiffany.
Well, yeah.
I know. Because the reason we all watched it is because it was on all of the channels. Right?
Yes.
I mean, like, there was nothing else.
There was nothing else.
All the TV stations, because there were only so many. Like, there was cable then, but it was like, we had a wooden thing where you'd like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like a channel thing.
Yeah.
That was like made of wood, and it had like 20 buttons, and each button was like a chunk.
For sure.
And like, that was all the channels that were like, that you'd watch had OJ. fleeing the cops in his white Bronco. So we all saw that stuff.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Your icebreakers were way more aggressive. I like it. Just girl. Murder.
I thought it felt right. I've been watching a lot of OJ documentaries for some reason.
Really?
I don't know why. They just keep like popping up.
On the murder, not his football career.
On the murder, for sure.
He's a hell of a football player.
Yeah, I don't like, but nobody remembers
I
any
know,
of that stuff.
as they shouldn't, because he's also a murderer. Because he did it.
Because he did it. David has strong feelings. Okay, icebreaker number 2.
Yep.
Favorite date night spot with your fiance?
Oh, man.
And it can be home, too.
No, I think I would say 2 different date nights. One, like these are the 2 first rapid fire. First would be Finney's in Burbank with a movie afterwards. Because we have the AMC Stubbs thing. Mm-hmm. So we go see movies all the time. We're big movie people, and we like to see them in the theater still. So that's happy hour at Finney's. They have craft brews made in-house and everywhere else. Love that place. They have really good food. And then we go and do a movie. If we were doing a date night, like for our birthdays, we usually go to a place called Louise's in the Larchmont area of Hollywood.
You just did that for your birthday.
Yeah, for my birthday. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Little Italian place, kind of like family, mom and pop. There used to be, when I moved here, it must be a chain enough where they had at least a couple locations.
Yeah, there was one on Melrose.
And Ventura. Ventura and Laurel Canyon in that little complex. It used to be upstairs.
That's right.
And then it became the Tender Greens. But because that's like one of the first jobs I applied to was at Louise's, because my manager at the time was like, just apply there. It's a good restaurant. And that place is great. Italian food, wine deals. They do like a Monday wine bottle thing where it's like half price. So yeah, we like to get some wine. Get some all
right, birthday date nights and other date nights. Love that.
Yeah, 2 date nights.
Isn't it wild how long we've been in Los Angeles that we've seen that much turnover in
it's crazy
restaurants and places?
And so COVID too, Louise's in Hollywood did the thing where they expanded their patio out.
Yes.
So like we sit outside now, and that didn't ever exist before. It used to just be like a little like tight, really narrow restaurant with like 15 tables maybe.
All those restaurants like doubled their seating when they did that. It's so great
though, because that's like part of what's so cool about living in Los Angeles for people that don't live here. Like something I'm obsessed with from growing up in the Midwest with the humidity and with like snow and like the extremes of weather where it's like nice for 4 months out of the year maybe. Is out here you can eat outside all the live long year, and it's like it's awesome. I love that vibe of LA. So like having more expanded seating because of COVID, I think is like a really cool thing. Like it's kept some people in business for sure.
For sure. And I think honestly, COVID was such a terrible time for so many people. I think that particular thing, outdoor expanded seating, is the best thing that came out of COVID.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like one of the lasting things that's good. Everything else is still like we're still not back. I mean, it's
right. Bless. The recovery is
sure
real.
We'll get to that too.
Go-to grocery store.
Ralph's. Yeah, Ralph's.
Because of proximity or the things that you can get there?
Things that you can get there. If I could choose to do it at Trader Joe's, I love Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
But there are things that I am picky about brand-wise that like only you can get at like a bigger box store or whatever, and Ralph's has always been my one. I think because when I moved here, she's destroying a donut.
It's okay.
I wish it was on camera. Lucy's here too, folks.
About you, girl.
When I moved here, I was in Studio City, and so I went to like this really nice Ralph's that's like right there on Ventura, right by the 101. And so that was like my first impression, because that's a weird thing when you move from somewhere else too. Is like I grew up on Hy-Vee, so like anyone who knows Hy-Vee, it's like a Midwest grocery store where like we drank like
Hy-Vee's the name of the store.
Yeah, so like Patrick Mahomes I think does a bunch of stuff with Hy-Vee because of Kansas City, because it's like that area, and they're like superstore, huge grocery stores. The one that we grew up with in town was small, and they've just like expanded and like Hulk sized themselves, but it's a great grocery store where we had the brand of Hy-Vee like milk. So like I grew up with that. So like you move to a new place and like all the brands are different except for like Kraft and stuff, but like all the brands that are store specific are just really different.
Yeah.
So I think I found the groove with Ralph's, and I never looked back. And then you get discounts on gas.
Hey, they have a new Ralph's gas station at the corner of Vineland and Ventura.
That's cool.
Did you not know that?
No, I didn't know they had gas stations.
Ralph's is your spot, homie, and I'm telling you, I'm hipping you to the game.
I love that because they
I
do
don't know
shell
what that
stuff.
means.
You get like 30 cents off a gallon. It's not Costco price, but it's like
I've never seen a Ralph's gas station.
Yeah, me either. That's new.
So let me know. You're in the valley and you love Ralph's. So let me know what the fuck happens at the Ralph's gas station.
The one way up by almost Burbank?
No. Vineland and Ventura. Literally across the street from like that little shopping center.
Yeah, that's the one I grew up going to. Well, grew up when I first moved here. That's the one. I saw so many famous. I saw Britney Spears get chased out of that Ralph's. I saw like that was like moving to LA and getting like the LA experience because there were celebrities that live up there in the hills that would come to that Ralph's. So I saw like I remember Ryan Gosling one time like getting a 6-pack of beer. He must have been doing a movie where he was very serious because he looked like he wanted to kill me. And and he seems like such a nice guy now, but like he like had this like dead eye stare when I saw him, and then I saw Britney get chased out by paparazzi. That was like a
dang.
Like okay, we're in the circus now.
That's the Ralph's. Well, yeah, there's a Ralph's gas station very close to there. That's crazy. I'm gonna
have to try it. All right.
Yeah, let me know. Like, do you get discounts? I don't know. Anyway, moving forward.
Yeah, let's go.
What time do you wake up?
7 is like the average, probably. Like today, we were up at 5:45, 6 o'clock because Allie had to go to work, and when she goes to work, I just get up whenever she gets up.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, I know. I help her carry. I help her carry her bags out. She has like massive bags for makeup every day, and we are all steps. So there's like 2 flights of steps plus another little flight to get out, and then carry them into her car. So no matter what, we get up with her, and I'll take her out with the bags, and then come in. So like
you're talking about the dog.
The dog
for our listeners only.
Yeah. So like if Allie, if she's not working, will sleep till like 11, sometimes. Not all the time, but like she can sleep, and this one will sleep. She will not wake up. She doesn't ask to go pee. She's like with mom until mom gets up. So on mornings where she has to get up early, I'm just up. But 7's like my clock, like my biological clock is like. I can force myself to go back to sleep. She's kind of taught me that. Allie has to like lay back down and like just try for another hour, but I'm really bad at it. Like once I wake up, my brain starts to like very quickly, and then I'm like, I want my coffee, and then I start to go.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that pace and rhythm in your head. He went like this.
You afraid?
No,
I'm afraid.
Not at all. Okay. I want to dive right smack into the middle of that.
All right.
Let's pod. First song you learned. Let's pod.
I love it.
We're already podding.
We're podding.
We're already podding.
I just had to like catchphrase.
Let's
it makes me
pod.
happy. All right. Sorry, I interrupted your question.
It's okay. First song you learned to play on the guitar.
I think it was "Runaway Train" by Soul Asylum.
Runaway train, never
I think
going
it's.
back.
I think it's like GCD, like in that land of like cowboy chords.
Were you about to pick it up? And
And then I realized there's 7 Bears hats on there, so I didn't need to go. We didn't need to go there.
Wow, so quick. You're like hand finger placement.
It was that and "Wonderful Tonight." I think were like the first couple, but I think that Soul Asylum.
Wait, "Wonderful Tonight"
by Eric Clapton.
Wonderful.
Yeah, same cowboy chords. All GCD.
Same cowboy chords.
It's the chords that everybody knows. Now we're doing it. We're fucking doing this, Tiffany. Hats are coming off. So I think.
Wow, there's a cute boy in front of me with a guitar in his hands, ladies.
Yeah. Runaway train never coming back. Wrong way on a one-way track. Seems like I should be getting somewhere. Somehow neither here nor there.
Wow. Watching his brain.
Something like that. And then "Wonderful Tonight." It's late in the evening. Just wonder what clothes to wear. It's all the same. It's like GCD is like what everybody learns first. So many songs are based off of those. And so those were kind of like, once I figured that out and that so many songs use the same thing, you figure those out.
You were gone.
And then the book you have
the
is
Beatles.
very quick after, because that's a huge influence for me because of my father.
You want to get into that?
No, whatever. Nope. You're asking the questions. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We're asking questions that take us in all these different places.
Yeah.
I think that's so fascinating. Last icebreaker.
Love it.
How often do you get complimented on that mane? You got some good fucking hair, David.
That's very nice of you. I am so, man, that's going to open a can of worms, Tiffany. So I don't get compliments on it that much, but I also like I'm somewhat in a silo these days, and I don't see a lot of people. So my wife is very kind about my hair, and she's cut it for a long time, and like because she's hair and makeup too, so she's always helping me with like products for it and stuff too. So yeah, I care about my hair. I'll say that. But it's one of those things. It's one of the many things that I've just always been a little self-conscious about at the same time.
Well, we all have our own things that we're self-conscious about, but
I hear your compliment and I take it.
Yeah, receive that.
I'm trying.
He's got some good ass hair.
Thank
always
you.
has.
Thank you.
And it's nice to have a wife with perks, huh?
Yeah, right? It does not suck. It doesn't suck. My level of like what I had in the shower like just exponentially raised when I met Allie.
Yeah.
And then she gets like samples of stuff. And so I can try out new things, which like before
without
it's like you're not going to spend $30 on a hair product that might suck.
Yeah.
But with her, she has it in her kit. She doesn't want it anymore, like wants to switch that out for something else. So, like try this. And I can like trial and error before I have to buy something. And then if I do have to buy something, she can usually help with pro discounts. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I think I'm going to keep her around.
Yeah, you should. That feels like a perk squared.
It is.
A perk
There's
to
a lot
the
of
fourth
perks.
degree.
That's just one of them.
Yeah. Okay, quick fires.
Okay.
Where are you from?
Ankeny, Iowa. Well, born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We'll say Iowa. I grew up mostly in Ankeny, which is like where I graduated from high school. Was born in Cedar Rapids, but like my memory from second grade on is Ankeny. So Ankeny is really where I grew up.
I've never heard of Ankeny.
It's a suburb of Des Moines. Des Moines probably is how it should be pronounced, but it's Des Moines.
Yeah.
And that is, we're not going to play tug of war, dear. Not right now.
He's talking to the dog, by the way, for our listeners, not me.
Yeah, it's a suburb of Des Moines, the capital of Iowa. So like we were like 15 minutes from the city.
Okay.
In major quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Des Moines, if Des Moines is okay. There's like two places to be in Iowa that have stuff going on. Des Moines has like shows and concerts, and they have like minor league teams. We never had a major league team anywhere in Iowa. But Iowa City, where the Hawkeyes are, is like, to me, the coolest city in Iowa. And I went to college there for a couple years, but
that was my next question, David.
I went a couple places.
Where'd you go to college?
College was originally University of Northern Iowa, to get back to it, sorry. And then
it's okay.
From there, I quit because I hated it. I quit after a year. I was in the marching band for like football games. That's my best memory of my freshman year of college, was like I played in the drum line. It's like this tribal.
You were playing the drums?
Oh yeah. I was a snare drummer in high school, and then I did quads at college. It's like the four that are like.
Was that the first instrument you learned how to play?
Drums?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a drummer first. My brother was a drummer too, so like he had a drum set. I watched him be good. It's like so much of my life was like watching other people and then like being like, oh, I want to do that, and then like figuring it out. So yeah, drummer first. We had a piano at home.
So 3 instruments you play, or more than that?
It depends on if. No, I play a lot of stuff. I play.
What else?
I can play piano. I can play accordion. I learned how. I have like a little accordion that I learned when I was a kid.
Oh, they make little baby ones?
It's like this big, instead of like my dad's is like, like. But yeah, so I could play drums, all drums. Like I was in concert band, so like, everything from timpani to snare drum to whatever. And then I was in marching band too, and I was in jazz band as a drummer. So like all the drums. Guitar became a thing that I self-taught with some lessons in college from the jazz guys, because I wanted to understand chord changes and like music theory. I was into, again, the education part of like, I wanted to know it all so I could break it. And then
know it all so you can break it.
Yeah, so
I like that.
Drums, guitar, keyboards for sure. And then I learned how to play bass, which like branching out from guitar. So I quit. Then I went back to the University of Iowa. History and theater were my major, but I majored in being in a band and playing all weekends. And I only lasted there for a year, and then I moved here.
So you didn't finish?
No, still. And like my dad's got a doctorate, my brother's got a doctorate, everybody's got masters. Like I didn't finish.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet you are one of the more intelligent actors out here with all the shit that goes on in your brain.
I don't know. I try not to ever. I always feel like I'm not that smart, but
I don't know
appreciate it.
how you could think that about yourself. But
I don't know.
We all have our things.
Yeah,
we'll get into it. Don't you worry. We'll get into it.
Is it hot in here? No.
I know, and I don't. You let me know because I got a lot of questions here, but
I'm good.
We're already at 32 minutes on your thing, so David is the one that edits all of this. So wait, let me. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
You just let me know like where we're at, how you're feeling.
I just have to leave by like 2. So.
Okay, great.
Got plenty of time.
David, can you tell us your last name?
Hawk.
Right, and let's talk about the way that it's spelled.
Haack. And
right.
Everyone wants to say that you're a hack, but it's Hawk. Like
2 vowels.
Like a rock.
2 of the same vowel.
C.
2 of the same vowel back to back.
Back to back.
In your last name.
Hawk.
I know people have been jacking up your name since probably birth.
Forever. Yeah.
Forever. But you have a little like rhyme or something that you say to help people remember how to say
Hawk
your
like
name.
rock. My band shirts were Hawk Rock. So
yeah.
So like it wouldn't be Hack Rock, Hawk Rock.
Yes,
so
to help people remember.
Yeah,
because when
to try.
You're being introduced to some of my network now, and people are asking questions.
Yeah.
Who is this David Hawk?
Who is this David Hawk?
Who is this David Hawk?
No one knows. He's a mystery.
Not after today, hey.
Yeah. I've been kind of hiding for a little while publicly, but
Hawk like rock, everyone.
That's right.
Don't say hack.
No,
please.
It's a bummer that's the mispronunciation because like no one wants to be called a hack, and so it's
I mean
it's not great.
The show on HBO. Oh, sorry, Max. Excuse me. Show on Max has definitely made the word cool again.
Sure.
Do you watch it?
Yeah, I didn't watch the second season. We watched the first one.
I think there's been 3.
Then I guess I'm very behind.
Yeah. No, it's a great show. We all love that show. Okay. Oh, wow. I couldn't wait to get into this part. So, D-Hawk.
Uh-huh.
Since our I have to read this one because it's a lot.
I love it.
For readers. Excited. Since our last/first episode.
Which was July 9th.
July 9th?
I believe so.
Yeah, because it was right before your birthday.
Yeah, yep.
It was not that long ago because today is the
23rd. It's my sister's birthday today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Happy birthday,
sis. Since our last/first episode, you have edited the long form of our podcast from 3 different angles. Mm-hmm. You got us an email address, started us an Instagram account, edited multiple teaser clips, posted said teaser clips with dynamic captioning and all, uploaded our first episode onto YouTube, and started a shared note for us to keep track of all of our ideas.
Yep.
And you worked on your own individual creative projects as well. Not to mention you are planning a wedding on top of all of this.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Not in these last 2 weeks. I had my birthday, I guess. That's the other one.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's...
I'm exhausted just saying that list, David.
I had a moment yesterday that I like almost had like a out of body experience, and Allie was like, "You are spinning a lot of plates right now." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess."
But I feel like that's pretty standard for you. Like,
yeah,
I wrote down if "get her done" was in the dictionary, David's picture would be right next to it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because for a long time out here, I felt like I was a slave to this process of like, I'm an actor, but like I have people that like put stuff in front of me, and like there's a lot of waiting, right? Like you're just like sitting waiting for an audition, then you wait for feedback, and then you wait for the next one, and you wait for a job, and then you're done with that, and then you wait. Like there's just so much idle time that what's always been good is I've always had music. as sort of like a meditative thing or as another vocation, in addition to the acting stuff of coming out here specifically. But like, I have to fill that waiting space. And I think something clicked for me. I guess COVID is part of it, where I realized like I am not even attempting half of the stuff that I think I could do because I'm just sitting around waiting for it to come to me. I have always wanted to do so many things. And there were people out here originally that kind of told me that would get in the way of me ever being really great at one, was that I was focusing on too many things. But now, like, COVID hit and I started writing all the time. Like, and I'm sure we'll get into some of that as well. But like, I started understanding that this, I call it like effervescent creativity that's just like bubbling out of my brain, where like I think I can feel it if you like hold my hand out, like it's bubbling out of the glass kind of all the time for me. And the only way for me to turn it off is like if Allie's around and we're doing something together, or playing a video game. And other than that, like I have a hard time now even like forcing myself to stop. Like if she's not here, I can't watch TV and I don't watch movies. I can't sit still for an hour and a half or whatever, or even 30 to 60 minutes for a show. I'm in here writing, making notes on ideas, like, with all the different projects that I have going on. Like the other thing too now is I've realized I can actually do a lot of those things too. And that it's all at my fingertips. I did a pilot project, through COVID. I wrote it, and I had a manager at the time who was really encouraging of me, like read some of my drafts. I had done some other stuff. I wrote a Superman pilot as one of my first kind of experiments, and had encouragement from people who had read real stuff. Like it's like one of those things, like the validation has always been overly important to me to like actually hear it, that somebody's like, you're good, keep going. Like, here's the carrot, dangle it in front of my face, and then I'll like run. But he really liked my Superman pilot, thought I could sell that. So like I went on a tear of like making trailers and like composing music to the trailers, doing the voiceover for them. And I have always wanted to play that role. Like that was like one of those roles that everybody, my first job out here, my name tag said I was from Smallville because they put it on there for me. Like everybody my whole life has like associated that character with me. So it might be a complex thing too, of like that I've always felt like I need to do that, like to like have that be in my...
David, I'm here to tell you right now, you are already Superman.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
You are.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Well, I mean, let's break it down. You do so much. There's so much constantly moving and being created and dissected and understood in your brain.
Yeah.
You have more talent in one hand than so many people out here do. And I feel like, there's maybe moments that it's been like to your detriment that you are so talented because nobody can put you in a box.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because I'm if I'm going to be vulnerable right now too, like I'm in a space right now that I'm like, I feel really lost in it a little bit because I know fundamentally, like to my core, I'm supposed to be making stuff like that. Yeah. That's like the central thing is like, I'm supposed to be putting things out for people to consume. It's been cool to finally get to do a lot of the stuff that I kept waiting for someone else to give me permission to do. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've done differently since COVID with Allie too. Cause like Allie became, because she's such a creative force too. And having somebody else who's so supportive in your life, that was the change for me. Is like she encouraged me to write and play music again when I had kind of stopped. She encouraged the writing when I did it. And then with Comic Book Club, which was the pilot that we're still trying to sell, I was bouncing ideas off her, keep on going from being a pilot. Then we decided we were going to shoot a proof of concept for it. So I was going to give myself the opportunity to direct something rather than wait for it to come to me. But give myself that with a team, because so much of what I do is in a silo and I'm working by myself, and like writing especially is such a lonely thing while you're doing it because you're just living in your brain. So to join forces with Allie and then with our friends who you know as well, Shaka and Charles, as a production team on that, to put real money, our own money, because we didn't ask for any money. We didn't crowdfund. We didn't do anything. We did our own money to put together a shoot to tell basically like a 7-minute version of that pilot to have as part of the pitch, which is, it gave me the opportunity to go to, I'm talking a lot, sorry, but basically it gave me the opportunity to go from taking this vision that was in my head to directing it, to acting in it, to casting it with real kids, to making it a real world that you lived in. And then after the fact, we were tossing around like, should we get an editor? And we had already spent a lot of money. And I was like, let me try. Like, let me try. Like, let's do that before we spend money. I know what this looks like in my brain. And I had plotted out the whole thing so specifically that I'm like, I've edited enough, and I knew Final Cut really well, and I knew how to edit. I had just never edited like, that much film with that many audio tracks with like all the different things. And so that was a catalyst now for like where I am now with like what you listed off in since the 9th.
I believe it, David. You are a man of many, many trades. And if there's something that you don't know, you're going to figure it out. And I think that's a really incredible quality. I'm curious to know what you think about. Do you think that you are addicted to creativity? Yeah.
That sign above you.
What does it say?
Creativity is a drug I cannot live without.
Oh my gosh, we need to zoom in on that.
I can't remember if it's T.S. Eliot or who that is, but yeah, that's my favorite quote, because it really does feel like I don't really know how to not live in it. So like, yeah. And again, the stretching of like Comic Book Club went straight into then strikes hit, and we can't try to sell it. We can't do anything. And there are no jobs to go out for. Mm-hmm. And so that's really when for me, like it set off this like short circuit for me that also was like connecting dots that I had not connected before, where it's like, well, I'm just going to find a way to like, I guess, be addicted to the drug. And that's when, I dove into all sorts of stuff. I was editing makeup videos for Allie that were crazy. I remember. And I did The Alien Donkey, which was a stop motion project that was like,
yes,
that was, man, talk about.
That is like the epitome of editing, right? Because it's literally like boom, boom, like
I gave myself like a elbow injury doing that. So it was crazy. I mean, again, the danger part of it that's like a drug is not knowing when to like just give yourself a minute. And I think I'm out constantly. Therapy kind of helped me with that too, because like I had a great therapist who like was always like, but it's okay because you're like, you are. My problem was always like, I'm not making money, and like I was like the money piece versus like the output. Like I'm putting out so much more than I'm getting paid for, right?
For sure.
And that eventually wears on your brain, and it's like you start to feel like I'm not working, right? But you are working. And she was very instrumental for me in like understanding like being a creative and living in this space of like, that is my work. So Alien Donkey, of like putting this whole stop motion thing, that is the most time intensive, insane thing. And I churned out, I started it with my friend John, and then he was just like, dude, it was more, and like, he's like my best friend, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying it. I know the pace that I was going was probably a little shocking, and he lives in Torrance and I live up here, so it's hard to like actually meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. So I just took the thing and ran with it after we were like, we should do this thing. And then it was kind of like, I
can't wait for you. I'm here in the valley and I'm going to keep going, whether you're here or
like,
not.
I made a set. This entire corner of the room at one point was a stop motion table set. And like,
I remember
I was just churning out. But the cool thing was like, it allowed me to keep doing what I was doing with Comic Book Club by like, I didn't trust my voice until that piece of my career. So like the last fourth of my career, I guess, like in the last 4 years, it's been the most tumultuous and terrifying in terms of the state of the industry and like knowing what's coming. But I have like, it like, I don't know, supercharged me. I
taught you a lot, I'm sure. Yes. You learned so much.
Yeah. And all of that was like, trusting my voice. Like that's really what I found was like, I can write. Stop telling yourself that you're not a writer. I have been a writer my whole life. I've been a songwriter. I've been, like words have always just like, that's the thing. And then with Alien Donkey, I was writing skits and stuff too. And then I was flexing this comedy piece that Allie has been on me since she knew me, of like, you go groundlings, like do improv, because like SNL has always been a huge influence for me too. But I've always been, I think, just shy and scared of it. That I'm really comfortable when I get to be funny, but I'm not comfortable telling anyone I'm funny, and I'm terrified no one will think I'm funny. So until I'm in it, I don't know. And so Alien Donkey was kind of that first time of like writing funny for me that led directly into Dave Swerski, and like really stepping into something where I'm like, oh, I think I can do this. And I think I've like, again, kneecapped myself my entire life by not letting myself just like know I could do it. Because I've always like struggled with confidence versus arrogance kind of a thing. Like I find it a very unattractive quality when people are arrogant. So, I mean,
fear is a wild thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've let it run my life for too long. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I do find that, and I see this in you as well. The older we get, we shed a little bit of more of that fear.
Yeah.
And we step a little bit farther into who we believed we always were, but we're too scared to show it.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you keep saying Dave Swerski, and like there's a lot of people that aren't going to know what that is, and I definitely want to get back to that. I'm not being a bad host by not acknowledging what was said.
All good.
But David is going off on like major tangents here, which is wonderful. This is what David does, and I'm glad everybody's getting to know David in the way that I do.
Terrifying picture of a mind that we're painting here.
He's getting us to places that I'm not ready to get to yet. So I'm
David.
putting a pin in Dave Swerski. We will get back to him.
Ignore it from here. Yeah.
Well, but some people don't know what that.
I know. We'll get there.
They're gonna find out today. They're gonna learn today, David.
That's right.
Okay. Now this might be something. Again, that takes us to a little bit more of that vulnerable space that we've been toying around with today. But as we mentioned in our previous episode, David and I met in an acting class.
Yes, ma'am.
But I vaguely remember that you had left and come back to Los Angeles shortly before I met you.
Yeah, that was like my the reemergence after leaving.
Yeah, so I know you've often talked to me about your annoyance with having to start that particular acting program all over again from the start, because you had already gone through the entire program at that school.
Yeah, it was a lot smaller when I took it originally.
Sure.
And it grew to have many tiers and levels, where originally it was kind of like one or the other, and then it came back.
And then you came back and they were like, you need to start back at one. But I'm so thankful that you did start over.
Me too.
Because had you not, we wouldn't be potting right now.
For reals. It's very true. Direct correlation to this happening.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you feel comfortable talking about, you were in Los Angeles for how many years before you left, and if you wanted to share with us why you left and then why you came back.
Yeah. I was here for this is where Allie, this drives her crazy, because the timeline gets really fuzzy for me. Probably again, defense mechanism, I'm sure, a little bit. I think that maybe I was out here for 2 or 3 years before I left, probably. And then I tested for 3 things in the course of 2 weeks.
Holy shit.
That were all life-changing. You sign a deal, when you test, and like you see money that I had never seen before in my life, and I didn't get any one of them. I failed at all 3 of them, and I moved home. But yeah, so I did that. I moved home. When I went home, I self-produced, engineered a new album with my band.
Because he can't sit still. He can't do nothing. Just because he moves home does not mean that he's going to stop.
Yeah. And I did some voiceover stuff from Iowa. They actually did some ISDN, I think was what it used to be called, and mic'd me in for some stuff. And I realized like I didn't belong there, and it was kind of supposed to be temporary anyway. So after a year, moved back and then tried
Only
to
1
like,
year.
start over. Yeah. Yeah, like almost exactly. Like summer to summer.
So like when you say you moved back, did you take all your furniture with you? Like did you leave Los Angeles with no intent to return? Mm-hmm. Wow.
It was going back to the comforts of home and then realizing that the comforts of home are the comforts of home, but they're not for me anymore. And I'm not supposed to be here anymore. It really did set me back moving away. Looking at it now, I think I did save my mental state though by like.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to skip over that.
Yeah.
Because I think back then it wasn't as much of a buzzword and a buzz topic as it is now.
Mental health. Yeah. No, I had never been to a therapist at that point ever. And it wasn't like really something that what seemed accessible or seemed like something that people do as often as I'm so
necessary.
Glad people,
yeah,
like,
sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a large piece of you that still speaks on that what do you call it? What do they call it when you're in school, in high school, and a gap year, gap year?
Yeah.
That you speak on that gap year as a complete setback for you.
Yeah.
In your career, you still speak on that to this day, and it was a gap year that you needed for yourself to get mentally stronger in order to be able to sustain the level of rejection and work and desire and drive that is necessary to even maintain in this business, let alone succeed.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's easy to look back and go, I killed my momentum. And I killed my momentum at a time that like I wasn't strong enough to stick out that like piece of rejection that really hurt. It's easy to think of those things as being like, oh, I didn't get that, so everything is lost. And had I been able to see the forest through the trees then,
yeah,
I think I could have like, there would have been something else right on the heels of that. I was just like, that rejection was really hard. And I mean like, family has always been really huge to me, even though like mine has its own stuff, you know, like everybody's does. Mm-hmm. But I missed my family and I miss like my friends. I miss my band. Cause I came out here by myself and like, it was, I did have like relationships and things, but like it was, you know, going back to somewhere familiar to sort of like regroup. See if it's what it is, you know? And also like, then I think maybe had I not done that, I always would have wondered if like home was still where I was supposed to be. And
of course.
It's not, you know, like, so
and you got huge. A definitive answer on that.
Big time. Yeah.
So it was a really necessary choice that you made.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, I mean, who's to say what would have happened should you have stayed and toughed it out? But you were only gone for a year.
Yeah.
It's really not.
At like the time, that feels like forever. But like now it's like, that's a blip, you know, like I could leave again for a year and come back.
There's people that have like major life things happen, you know, like they go and have a kid for a little while and that takes them out of the game for a little while.
I'm happy that it worked out the way it did because I love that I met Allie. I love that I met you in the class. Like I love the outcome of the way the dice were rolled.
Absolutely. Timing is everything, and you wouldn't be where you are today if it hadn't all gone the way that it did.
Yeah.
And that is a gentle reminder for all of us in the room and for the 4 listeners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 musketeers up in here. Yeah, I think now seeing like my nieces and nephews get to the age of like going to college and trying to figure it out too, it's like there was a pressure to sort of like know what you wanted to do then, and I did. But like that doesn't mean that it's like a straight line, right?
Nothing is.
No, and all of those things are all lessons, and they all become a part of who you are, and like that's like now I can see that. But at the time, I was just stuck in the rat race, and I didn't know how to like maneuver through it. So
we grown ass adults now.
That's right. I know. It's scary sometimes.
Way grown.
Yep.
I just have a few more things.
Love it.
We did already talk about Comic Book Club, which I'm just so proud of you. You made so much happen in that. And I just wanted to circle back, now that I'm thinking about it, bringing it all back to timing and everything that like slowed down the progression of what you thought Comic Book Club was on.
Yeah.
What you have created is timeless.
Oh, that's really nice of you. Thank you.
You're welcome, but I really want you to receive that.
Yeah.
Because you are not the only person that has a deep fascination with the 90s.
I know. That's what I'm trying to tell people.
I know. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
So, like, no matter when, because it is a when, this project does come into fruition, it will be right on time.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it will get made, sold.
Yeah, because like
it doesn't make sense for it to not to unless people are like too green. Like that's the only limitation.
I don't think that even exists in this space because you're not green by any means necessary. Sure, you haven't had your name in this many categories on high profile projects, sure.
Yeah.
But neither did a lot of people before they got their first one.
For sure.
So period, end of sentence there. But it's really good.
Thank you.
There's so much room to develop and go with this. There's the longevity is long.
Yeah, there's a runway.
Absolutely. And it's I think that had it happened or come out during the time when you feel like it had its most momentum, it could have ended up being one of those things that you're talking about gets shelved and hidden away for a really long time. You still have access to it. It still exists. It still has potential. Mm-hmm. So we're not giving up on that.
No, I'm certainly not giving up on it. I just emailed my agent again, and I'm like, I wrote to the production team. I'm like, hey, let's put our heads back together, because Charles and Shaka are very good at trying to like shop things around, and they have some really great connections. So I think we were all crazy demoralized by just the strikes and the stop of any momentum for everybody. Yeah. And then not only are you a newbie in this sea of people that already do it, you're now a newbie in a sea of people who haven't gotten to do it for a year, who are all also very hungry to sell whatever they've been working on, if they have. So I am clear-eyed about that like there's a challenge to it, but I also feel like the right set of eyeballs that see the thing, it's a no-brainer. And that's why, I mean, Leslie, I hope she doesn't mind me, like the 4 people that, unless you know somebody at Netflix or whatever, but like she's agreed to come on and direct it, because that was kind of a thing for me too, is I don't want to just sell it. I want to be in this. I have less attachment to playing the character that is like the main guy in it than I have to creatively being the driving force and, like conducting the thing a little bit. And to have her say yes, in my view, and she said, so I can tend to your baby and give it back, which was the greatest thing I've ever heard. Because for her, she's like, yeah, I can do the pilot and the next one, and then you do the next. And I was like, that's what I want more than anything, is to have access to somebody who can teach me, but like I'm a fast learner. And like
we know,
and once I'm in that space, like I just need, all I've ever needed is for someone to say go and to give me the permission, and then I'll figure it out, and I'll make mistakes. And like that used to drive me crazy. The mistakes would like derail me, and now it's like, no, the mistakes are part of all of it. And sometimes that's been something I've learned through Comic Book Club, and then to go into like Alien Donkey, to then Dave Swerski, all these different like creative things that I've been doing, is that the perfection piece doesn't have to, like, there is no such thing, first of all, as perfect. Second of all, no one wants to watch art that's perfect, because it's soulless. And so I let that go, and now I feel like I'm way more like willing to dive fully in and let myself learn it than I was before, to be like, oh, well, I don't really know what I'm like, I don't deserve this, whatever it is. Like now it's like, with this one especially, like her being willing to do that, talking to you, having a willingness to be a part of the thing too, like people that I respect so much, who have had much more momentous careers than I have, to see this thing and not be like, oh yeah, it's great, and like move on, to actually be like, no, it's like, it's good, like, and
it has legs. It's going to go somewhere. The validation piece, it's like, it means something to me. It's not just empty words. It's like, it really does fuel me to know that like world creation, like my goals have changed. And that's been something that I've like really realized, is like, it used to be I wanted to be the lead in the film, right? I wanted to be Thor, or I wanted to be whatever it was, or Superman. And
now I want to have my own studio. Like I want to have my own, like that's what
you already do, David.
I know, but, and this is a part of it is like I started to realize too that that's like the evolution is the gatekeeper version of the industry of like you only get to do these big things if so and so bigwig says you're anointed and now you get to do the thing. Then I took that power back through COVID and all this other stuff of like, well, no, I can shoot stop motion, no one's stopping me, and I can put it out on YouTube and like maybe 5 people watch, maybe thousands. And then that became the catalyst to then the Dave Swerski thing was like, I can make whatever I want. And then like I had done this podcast in COVID that was all audio. We didn't do any video with that one that you were on as well. And I had a lot of people that are like, you should do that too. And it's like at some point I don't have enough bandwidth to do it all.
Yeah.
But my dream is to have the studio space where I can help shepherd all these projects. And whether they're like my driving force is the thing with it, or I'm an overseer, like to help other people succeed too. Like that's now the goal versus like, it used to be a me goal, and now it's very much like
a we goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially having a partnership with my partner who wants to do this, who's very good. Like in Comic Book Club, she had more on-set experience than anyone I've ever met, any actor I've ever met.
Yeah.
She's on set every day.
Yeah.
And like big stuff, small stuff, everything in between. And so when we got into it with Shotgun, myself, and Charles, she knew more what we needed to do to get it done and to take care of people. And that was the coolest thing about that part too, is that was the first time of like employing other people to work with us and treating them like professionals, because we've all been treated like shit in some project. It's like, that's not going to be the way we're going to do it. And that shaped, I've always said like I wanted to be like Tom Hanks, like I wanted to be the guy that everybody wanted to come back to work with again, which luckily in my career, that's why it's frustrating it hasn't gone faster, is like I work with the same people a lot because they do bring me back. I just haven't gotten that like big swing yet.
Sure.
Or maybe I haven't hit the ball when I've gotten to swing. But now with getting to put that together and understanding like we didn't do 12-hour days, we did 10s, and we paid people at the top end of the thing instead of paying them a homie rate or like a discount rate. Like we really paid people, and we didn't really have the money to do it, but we figured it out. And knowing that putting a team together, oh man, and casting those kids, it just opened my eyes to like this other version of the career that I think I limited myself from it because I was waiting for somebody, the pros to tell permission. Me I could do it. Yeah. And instead it's like, well, I'm just going to do it. And man, I'm like the learns just keep coming.
Well, I think this is probably who you were always meant to be, right? This is the person that you were supposed to step into. Yeah. And all of those things that happened, the ups, the downs, the ebbs, the flows. Yeah. They led you to become this person and to find this discovery of who you are and what you're capable of. Yeah. And I think that keeps expanding and keeps growing. And I would just invite you to switch the language on, I want to have a studio someday. Maybe it's, I just want to expand the studio that I already have. I do feel like that's been the thing too, is like lately too, since COVID, the world feels different in where you need to be to do this. And I think that's been something that we both have felt the pull from Allie and myself of like, when I can make this take off and financially be a driver in my life, then this can be anywhere, and you can get more space somewhere else maybe, or Comic Book Club goes right away and then we're fine in LA, but this space, like, I've started to not let imperfections get in the way of me still making stuff. Like this room is not ideal for whatever, but I have made this room work for a bajillion different things. You've made most of your money. Yeah. In this room. Yeah. 100. Right, yeah. Because in COVID too, like I built a recording booth in my closet, and I was doing dubbing and voiceover work from my closet. Then we started to go back to the real world, but like that all came because I was capable enough to have like the know-how to do it on my own. You've got the equipment here already. Yeah. And then with filming and all the content creation stuff, like that piece for me was a huge unlock. Is content creation was like, I think I used to like scoff at it a little bit, and I didn't really understand what went into it and how consuming it is too, like how time consuming, mentally consuming, whatever it is. And
and I dabbled in it in many different ways, and then I like really feel like I kind of found my stride last year.
Well, since we're here,
yeah,
since we've been jumping to the subject multiple times throughout this conversation, we might as well just dive right in.
Let's go.
Content creation, David.
See.
Your most recent endeavor is reigniting the superfan.
Yeah. Yeah.
From Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Which was a big influence in your acting comedy journey.
Everything. Yeah. I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live since I knew what it was. Like that was like, that's always been a dream.
Yeah. Understandable. And you've also been a Chicago Bears fan.
Forever.
For as long as you can remember as well.
Yep.
And the Superfan skit on Saturday Night Live was about the Chicago Bears.
See, the Bears. Yeah.
That was a little sneak peek into Dave Swerski.
Yeah. So it came about this, it goes back a while. So I had dressed up like Bob Swerski, who was played by George Wendt, for a costume party at Halloween at John and Joe's. A long time ago, I put a pillow in my stomach and like went as the thing, and I didn't break character all night. So I showed up, and for me, like, I've always again asked permission, and so I'm uncomfortable doing that. But like at Halloween, it's fun because
you get a free pass.
100%. Like no one thinks you're a fucking weirdo because you can't break. So I like all night. Anyone asked me something, I did it in the Superfans character.
Had you dressed up like that before?
No, that was like the inaugural run.
For a Halloween costume, you're like, oh, I have this,
yep.
I have this.
That's exactly what it was.
I could be this.
I had nothing else. I think I made a mustache out of like something ridiculous. Like it wasn't like like anything close to what I have it now. Like I feel like I cut up part of a wig or something. Like I don't remember, but I went to that Halloween party alone. This was like 10-ish years ago, and I had met George Wendt. Playing music actually with my buddy Harley. I was playing guitar for his band, and Harley had done a play with George, I guess, or something. So George happened to be at one of our shows at the Mint, I think it was. And afterwards, I was up at the bar getting a drink, and like somebody tapped me on the back, and they're like, "Oh hey!" And I turn around, and it's George Wendt, like who's like TV sitcom royalty, sweetest guy you could ever imagine, soft spoken. And he's like, "Hey, I wanted to tell you, like, I just think, like, you're really talented. Like, you're a really good guitar player. You got great stage presence. Like, you're doing great." So that was kind of it. And I became Facebook friends with him, I think.
Wow.
So then I dressed up like this character at a Halloween, and I just, like, off the cuff, like, sent it to him. Like one of those, like, sort of like, what's the worst that can happen? He's like, weirdo. But I sent it to him.
How long
like,
ago was this?
At least 10 years ago, if not 12.
Okay.
Like, a long time ago. Pre-meeting Allie, any of that. And wrote to him and was like, "Hey man, check this out." Like I went as whatever, and he was like, "Oh, that's funny," and like wrote me back, and I was like, "Oh, cool." So that kind of just started up a internet relationship with him a little bit, and then there were a couple other times that then I dressed up like the character, and then it was a fantasy draft last year that I decided to draw the names out of my Bears helmet. And I did it in character.
Camera?
Yeah. And at that time, I just hadn't shaved in a minute. So I don't ever grow a really thick mustache, but I had enough of one that I shaved everything else. And I did it in character and sent it to our draft league, which Allie's in it and stuff too. And everybody like loved this video.
Just your friends.
Yeah. Just like drawing, like next up is, whatever is the Bears team. And I just did it all in character. Like no, it wasn't scripted, like all in the moment. And Allie was when she's like, "You should do that." Because this was in the strikes. I had been doing Alien Donkey. I had been making videos. I had been like just my output of video stuff was just like intense. And so this came about. She's like, "You should try
sound.
that." Yeah. Because Alien Donkey didn't like take off. Like it was like, it just didn't, it was way too hard for the amount of like reception it was getting.
Yeah.
In terms of time, that it was like, it was frustrating. It was like, it was a creative expression thing, and it was really cool for me, but it took me so freaking long to do everything with that it was just, I couldn't do it fast enough for it to be the thing that would catch on. So Allie was like, you should do that character. Just like throw that on TikTok, see what happens. So I started doing videos where I would just in character, because the whole skit was like, hello, my friends, this is Bab Swerski. We're here at Ditka's again, and we're going to talk about, like, it was always like predictions, like, like the Bears are playing the Packers. How are they going to? It's always like Bears 103 to Packers -47, and it was always so dumb, but like so funny. And so I started kind of doing that and just like borrowing that. And I was like, hey, I'm the nephew of Bob Swerski, because I knew George. And I just was like, there's a space that like doesn't exist. I think Horatio Sands at one point was a nephew superfan when he was on SNL, but it just didn't catch on. So it wasn't like it was just this like kind of this space that didn't exist. And I was really plugged into social media with the team. If I back up even more, the reason this is signed by Tom Waddle.
He's pointing to a helmet.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you can see it. You can see it. I'll go to the wide shot. Go to the wide shot in this, David. Tom Waddle, who was a receiver for the Bears when I grew up, who co-hosts kind of the main ESPN Chicago radio show called Waddle and Sylvie. They, every Christmas, did a parody song contest. So this is, again, rewinding a decade or so. I started entering that parody contest from LA. And it started out by like they had a call-in line, and you could like call and then sing your song into the phone and then hang up.
Wow.
Like this is like that long ago.
Old school.
Yeah, and so there were a couple of them that I did that they thought were funny. So like every Christmas, I would send them like 10, 15 of them. And it was like, because I just
Did they pay you for that?
No.
No, this was all just a contest?
Yeah.
You could enter 15 different songs
yeah, they wouldn't
in
always
this contest?
play them, but like they started to like know who I just kept sending them, and they would usually play most of them on the air, and I got close to winning one year, and like it's all so objective, like it's like, did it make us laugh? And like they're not based on a like the musicality or whatever. It's so like it was what it was. But then I did win, or was a finalist enough to get sent VIP tickets to a Bulls game, to be in the suite with the guys in Chicago, and to like meet them and hang out and do the game there, because I had done well with this parody song contest. So that is really the genesis of this, is that I had already found that I could make people laugh, and because I would fall into doing the Bears voice in all my songs. So I would do a Christmas song and just make it all about the Bears, and I just found I was good at it. And then I had encouragement when like with Allie and before that even too. So that was kind of the start.
Already had some jerseys in your closet.
Yeah, because I was a huge fan. Like literally, like I've loved the Bears forever.
Couple
and
hats.
And for me, my perspective was in the 80s, 90s, they're coming off a Super Bowl win. My life, they've been pretty much bad forever. But you can't, like, loyalty is you love your team.
For sure.
So
Chargers till I die.
Exactly. So like there was that perspective of like, we're all here for the greatest franchise of all time. However, let's be real here, my friends. We haven't been so good in my lifetime. And that was kind of like the whole bit was like, in my life, they haven't been so good, but like the hope and optimism is always just as high. So then when I started to do these videos, they were all speaking, and I was doing quick editing, putting it on TikTok. Wasn't getting very far, but like the people that liked it seemed to like it. It was gaining ground, but it was like little by little, 100 or so followers here, 100 or so there.
And then what happened, David?
And then there was one day we had lost our second game in a row, and I was really excited about like Justin Fields and his potential, and like I thought this team was really going to do better things. And so I decided to do a parody song. I feel like we were having a bad morning, and I was like down making eggs, and I do remember that all of a sudden, no one knows what it's like to be the Bears fan behind his stash hit me as like Behind Blue Eyes, and like in song. I don't even think the song was playing. I think I just like heard it in my head, and I was like, I got to go write that. And so I came up.
Did you finish making the eggs?
Always.
Okay.
My eggs are legendary. People that know about you can't eat them, but eggs are like my favorite, like one of my favorite foods, and I make a killer scrambled egg. So yeah, definitely finished those, but then came up with them probably because I sometimes eat up here too, and while I'm working, and tore it apart. And the way I do it, like I find the lyrics, and then I figure out the song so that I can play the real song, write all the lyrics to the new way. And then that one I just filmed, and it was like, no one knows what it's like to be the sad man, to be the Bears fan behind his stash. And I did it, in whatever. I didn't have the posters at the time, but I had my clothes, and I put it up, and we went to Costco, and it was like at like 1,000 plays when we went. And you're in Costco, you can't really see it anyway. It's like a big, cement warehouse.
Like no
your phone
service.
doesn't work. So we get out, and Allie's like, babe, like, it's got like 10,000 views already. And we're like, what? And I was like, and it was the craziest thing because like it was like refresh, and it was like 15,000, refresh, 20, refresh, 30. And it was like this crazy thing that it just started going. By the end of the night, it was over 500,000. And then the next day, it jumped to over 1 million views on TikTok.
Oh, shit.
And my following went like, and it was like, all of a sudden, it was like, oh, it's the parody songs and the character. And the fact that like I tapped into that one specifically. And I've had a lot of people that are like, you should do it not just for the Bears. But I'm like, it's niche on purpose, right?
Yeah.
But that one spoke to like anyone whose team didn't start well. I had so many comments. Like it got shared like 50,000 times. So
would you say that you went viral, David?
I mean, I did. That's the first moment I've had.
Say it out loud.
I went viral. Refreshing and seeing numbers like exponentially just pop. It was like, it was a rush.
Yeah.
I remember talking to my therapist about it. I'm like, that adrenaline rush was like something. Like that was a drug. Like that was like, oh man, I can see why people get addicted to this. But it's also a trap. Because like that is so rare for something to just like explode like that.
Yeah.
So then, of course, like I tried to like the next day, I got another one, and I was like ready to do like 15 songs all at once, and I was then expecting them all to maybe do that. Not really, but like you hope they do. And the other ones, it was like a continual organic build, and then I applied for I got over my 10,000 followers on TikTok pretty fast. Was able to apply for their creator beta program. At the time, it was a beta where if you did longer than 1 minute videos, you could get paid. And it's not very much, but you could get paid. And so I got into that program, and then it just so happened like Justin Fields got hurt. We lost to a rival, and it was like we thought we were going to be good, and it was like really bad. So I did Hello Darkness, My Old Friend, Sound of Silence. And I started at that point, a lot of what I did, it was deeper than just like sitting and playing. They started to become like embodying the original videos, and I was very specific about the genre and the time of the music that I picked. There was like this timeless stuff that everybody either knows, and if it's new Gen Z people, they've probably heard it before, even if they don't know that they have.
Yeah.
So I was like really again in that
melody.
wheelhouse of 90s, 80s, like that kind of thing where the super fans were big. And that one I did pretty much just like they do in the real like live video of Simon and Garfunkel doing it, where one of them standing, one of them sitting. And because of Alien Donkey, I had been filming myself and experimenting in video editing with splitting myself into multiples of me to then use as animation references. So I would act out everything that, if anyone goes and watches Alien Donkey, I would act those things out first, because it's really hard to understand how many frames it takes to move an arm or like just doing it like anything without actually doing it and then frame by frame seeing what happens. So I had filmed myself, like the Burger King skit is people around a table, and I had filmed that with me around the table and then me around the other side of the table, and I fully animated that to my own action. So I had already started splitting myself and making a video where I appear multiple times. So that one, we're singing together, and so many people, even George, like that was, I ended up sending the first one to George. I was like, hey, I need you to know I'm doing this thing. I had actually asked him before I got going. I was like, do you care if I do this? He's like, yeah, just, be careful of Lorne Michaels was like the only thing. He's like, long legal arm of whatever. He's like, but yeah, like I'm cool with it. Smigel, I know is cool with it. And I'm sure Bob Odenkirk is cool with it. Like all heroes. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Okay, cool. So I started doing these videos, and then the one went to 1 million, and I wrote back to him and I was like, hey man, just so you know, like it's blowing up. And then when I did Hello Darkness, he wrote me, he's like, that's just you, right? And I was like, yeah. I like, fake it to where I'm in the room twice and I sing with myself, like by layering myself in audio. He's like, oh man, yeah, I had some neighbors that were telling me, because at that point then ABC7 in Chicago started latching on, and they were playing my videos on the nightly news as a part of the sportscast. Like they would show blips, and that one jumped to over 1.5 million in a couple days. And then I did another one that was 500,000. That was like, I had watched Bo Burnham's special Inside during COVID and thought it was the most incredible thing I had ever seen. I watched it again recently, and it is depressing now just because like it like brings back all the COVID like being stuck. But like I also watch it now going like I could do something like that, because like
I told you that a long time ago.
A lot of people did, but I didn't believe it until I started doing it. And Tanking for Caleb was one which is funny how it played out because we got Caleb Williams as the number 1 pick. But at that point, the fan base was so torn apart between like this Justin Fields fandom and this like tank, be bad and get the good pick no matter what. And we sort of had not to go sports nerd, but we had sort of a beautiful situation too, where we had Carolina's pick and they were bad. So if they finished last, we would get the number 1 pick, even if we were good. But that tanking for Caleb video was such a story. And I really like went beyond it. It was Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. But I did like 3 of Me Dancing, and I had this whole thing where I was like taping a Justin Fields jersey to have the 3 to make it a 13 jersey like Caleb Williams, it was just so. What was cool is at that point, comic book club, Alien Donkey to this, I see stuff in my head like a film, and I see film framing. And I never really knew how to translate that until I was just doing it. And now that I know I can do it, I can see something in my head and not have to think too hard about like, how do I get that shot? I just do it. And the speed, what was so cool about Dave Swerski through the season was the challenge was, okay, cool, I'm going to do a song for every game. Win or lose, I'm going to react, and I would get it out like the next day. And
that's wild.
And I never knew what song I was going to do before I did it. I started keeping a file of like songs that I would hear and go, oh, maybe that song, that's a good song, that song. And I would just like in Notes, because Notes is my favorite app, just leave them in there because there's no technology to get in the way of the idea. But it's like technology is your savior there too, because it's organized by default. Mm-hmm. So I just running list of music, and then I just kept going, and I was doing 2 songs a week pretty much. And then I started doing NFL breakdowns too of like all the teams that would win and lose, like. And then it was all like, can I land the plane at the end of the season? Like, can I get through the whole season and not miss any or like whatever? And I did, and it just kind of kept going.
Snaps.
Yeah, and I'm over 11 million plays of stuff overall since last September.
Wow, say it again, David.
Over
say it loud.
11 million plays.
Damn.
43,000 followers plus now, from 0 last September to there. And it's become this really great thing that's like, it's merging everything I love: sports, art, music, a challenge, because every song is a challenge. I never know how to play the songs, and then I end up on some of them I just do acoustic, but like a lot of them I'm doing bass, drums, and drums are a pillow or it's like it's just this like really, it's fun because I think people look at it and think it's low rent or think that it's like not hard maybe.
Well, you make it look so easy.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like it's fun that people don't know what really goes into it, but people are recognizing it now. Like, I'm doing another podcast this week about it, and I did some more stuff this summer. The Bears are going to be on Hard Knocks this year, so like I got invited to the draft party at Soldier Field with the Bears. And then I got to perform with Robert Smigel, who's the guy who actually wrote it for SNL. And he was doing a Triumph, the Insult Comic Dog show in Chicago, and he was going to open it with this Superfan bit where he played his Superfan character, Carl Wolarski. And then what's really cool is it ended up being like a multiverse of Superfans that he wasn't aware of. So like I was like a multiverse Swerski that had come in and I'm, singing in fake mustache with the dude who actually created the thing. And
you had no idea that that's where this was going to lead to when you started in this room. The journey continues, and I'm really, really happy that you have found this outlet for yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, and gives you something to keep a schedule with, to keep you going, keep you focused. I'm really, really excited.
Thank you.
If that's what happened in your first year, my goodness, what's going to happen with all of this additional stuff, this outside stuff that you had no control over, them being on Hard Knocks and all the stuff. Like, it's only going to elevate your entire production and experience. And what's crazy about content creators, and I'm not sure if a lot of people are fully aware, but they have to wear so many hats. Yeah. There's so many elements of this whole thing that you are in control of, and it can be very, very, very overwhelming. Yeah. But you've got a great handle on it, and you are a team of one. And who knows, this might take you somewhere down the road where you've got a team of people helping you out so that you can be doing many other things, or be more just like in the creative aspects. I know you enjoy doing all of that stuff. Yeah. But, it would probably be nice to have somebody else help you out down the line.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely, it'll be interesting to see the doors that open now that I know I can land that plane, and that this year has different goals. Like, now I want to get sponsorships.
Absolutely.
For some of what I'm doing, and I want I want the Bears to be so good that they do end up having like a lot of heat, so that we do get to go do SNL. I'm putting it out there.
I had a flash of what is it called? Damn, the news on SNL. What is it called?
Oh yeah, Weekend Update.
Weekend Update. I just had a flash of you guys being on a segment for Weekend Update. That would be so great.
It would be awesome.
Okay, I'm landing the plane.
Yeah, I know, because I have to go to a screening.
I know. I've been trying to land the plane.
Sorry,
David.
Tiffany. A lot to talk about.
I mean, yes. Okay, I have 2 questions.
Yep.
And we have to wrap this up. Where in your life are you the least creative?
I mean, the areas where I let myself shut it off for a minute are when I'm working out, because there's like a system, right? It's like a put one foot in front of the other, step 1, step 2, lift, breathe. And then like I play video games and stuff, but I mean, like, you're still thinking then, but I'm not thinking about all the stuff that I want to get out of my brain. Like, I'm just like task oriented. So
fully
I think,
present just in that moment.
Yeah, I think those things, and probably cooking. I mean, there's creativity in cooking, but like we do HelloFresh, for instance, like, hey, you want to sponsor us? But we do that, and I love it because like it does take the guesswork out of it. And there is like a recipe to follow, and I'm like a rule follower, so I can follow the rules and put it together, but I still love to cook. But in the moment of that, when you have food firing, there is no space to like leave it.
Yeah.
So you have to like task at hand, finish what you're doing and kind of do it. So
I love that.
I guess those, yeah.
Fitness and cooking.
Yeah, I think so.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you had an answer to that, because I was worried that you were not going to be able to provide an answer to that. It doesn't really ever
shut off, but like it does. It shuts off long enough. Well, I force it. I also walk Lucy. Having a dog.
You're not thinking about your parody songs while you're walking your dog, or
I try really hard not to.
That's okay. That's
because I try to be there for her. Like
That's good.
And it's even just like a 15-minute. Like we go around the block, and I usually use it as like the
Step
video's
away.
rendering, walk away, fresh eyes when you get back.
Okay.
So yeah, being a dog parent for me was also a game changer of like caring about something else in addition to myself. You know, that like. The walk is good for her. It's good for me. It's good for me to be there with her, not like be in headphones.
That's beautiful.
So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Thanks.
Nice and concise
Boom,
too.
Short, sweet. Nailed it.
And my last question, since this is a new adventure for both of us, who in your world is the most excited about the pod?
Oh man. I definitely think Allie's excited. I had a lot of people that did come back to me and go, "When are you going to do the podcast again?" Like I had the Working Actor podcast was what we tried for a little while. And that conversation thing for me was really therapeutic. Because it made me also not feel like such a weirdo, like, like somebody walking around with like an arm growing out of their leg or something. Like I sometimes feel like an alien. And so talking to other people who are doing it, it was nice to like commiserate in rejection with somebody else who got it, or like also like the keep going aspect of like someone who had a real story of like they kept going and it worked, or like, yeah, I was really successful and then I wasn't, or whatever it is. Like all of that helps to process my own version of this story. So I think Allie probably is number one, but there were a lot of people that apparently listened to that other one that like have been sort of like, hey, you should revisit that kind of thing again too. So, but she also, I think, sometimes worries that I take on a lot, and sometimes it melts my brain because I am human at the end of the day, and like the output, I can keep it up, and it's been great. It will be nice to hopefully have some reward for the output sooner than later, because then it will make it. I don't even care. Like I don't need to be whatever. I just want to be able to pay my bills and have a comfortable life by doing this stuff. So like and I think it's all building towards that. It's just like now really understanding the power I have to drive this stuff. Taking on a new project like this, it's fun because there's not nearly the same level of like fear or worry that I can't deliver, or that we won't know what to talk about, or I can't edit the video, like any of those things. It's like, it's all accessible. I just have to do it. And it gives me something to do, which is always good too. because I'm better when I have like a task or a deadline or whatever it may be.
Well, I will say this to you. I have also been feeling, the lull of the industry and the challenges of rejection and all of those things, because it's just a very natural part of what we do. Mm-hmm. I've been feeling a lot of that recently, but since jumping into this adventure with you, my mentality has also shifted to, we're not financially being compensated for this right now, but creatively we are.
Yeah.
And it feels really good. And I'm really excited to continue exploring in this adventure with you.
Likewise.
And I'm so thankful that you were open to being the focal point of conversation today.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. I mean, I have been keeping a lot of my story close to my chest, but I also can talk, and I know I sometimes overshare. So it's nice to have a space.
As soon as David gets the permission to speak,
yeah,
he absolutely takes it. And we love him for it.
Yeah, it is what it is.
This is how all of this gets done, because you are moving a mile a minute.
I try.
And it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited just in general for this to keep going and to bring other people into the conversation, but also like to have this be the baseline where like we could talk about anything here and like put it out there, be vulnerable. Like it's good for me to have to talk about it and be nervous about what people think, because I always am, and then also be like, it doesn't matter. This is our story, and
we've got 4 people listening. It's
absolutely fine. We love you 4. We love the 4 of you. We
appreciate you 4.
So that's it. We really do. Tell your friends.
All right, I think we did it, my friend.
Thanks.
We potted
yet
again.
Let's pod again soon.
Let's pod again soon.
All right.